Boston, the first album by Boston, and also the first album I ever bought with my own money. Before then, it was K-Tel. My parents sprung for it, and you know that was just, ugh. You know, you're watching WFLD TV, I think Channel 32 in Chicago, and you're buying those, but I love music. So anyway, this was the first album I bought by myself, and this took me on the musical journey that I am still on. This is Marqua hosting Deep Cuts, a musical journey. My favorite bands, the premise of the show is my favorite bands and their entire catalog, because Radio Billy sucks. Radio sucks except for this radio station, which I keep touting because they help me shape my musical horizon. That would be 93.1 WXRT out of Chicago, Illinois, which you don't really want to live there anymore, but nevertheless. Anyway, this show is brought to you by The Bald Man versus Captain Comeover. What a great book that is. Only because I wrote it, but nevertheless. I'm here with my producer, Billy, and his girlfriend, Darla. And they are here, sitting here, because there's nowhere to travel right now. No cubs, a lot of bugs. No cubs, no bears. So they're hanging out. Darla, tonight, usually we don't do food on this, but Billy had his bacon thing on the last show. And here's Darla's pick for the night. Very nice. Lobster blackened salmon, scallops, and garlic spinach. Nice. So you can see the difference between Billy's all bacon and Darla's. There's a, very distinguishing. Anyway, we are here. So anyway, Boston's first album. So I remember going into the record store, which was across from Mother's Music. Anybody from Mount Prospect or surrounding areas knows Mother's Music. They should have turned that into a museum. What a fantastic place. Across the street was this record store, and I remember after I heard More Than a Feeling, I was like, I gotta have this album. So I go to the store, and I'm walking in this store with banners and posters and all this stuff I eventually have to have. So, yes, I am getting eaten by bugs out here. It's South Florida. I hate to complain because I know it's snowing somewhere else. Anyway, I walk into the music store, and I remember I'm like, okay, I'm here to get Boston's first album. And I remember going in there looking at all these other albums. I'm like, oh, I like that band. Oh, I like that band. Oh, I like that band. And I'm like, maybe I should buy 2 albums. But eventually, after I saw all these banners and posters that were going to eventually adorn my wall in my house as a teenager or junior high, whatever I was back then, I said, Mark, go get your Boston album, pay for it, and run like hell. That's all I can tell you, because I wanted everything in that store. And this is a story for another day, because there's a lot more to that story, which is in my blog. Anyway, Boston, his deep cuts. So we have Mother's Music. Mother's Music had Pinball, Asteroids. Anyway, my deep cuts from that first album is going to be, and I know this was never on the radio because it's too long of a song, Foreplay / Long Time. That's a great song, along with all the other great songs on that album. Foreplay, Long Time. Seems a little sexual. I won't get into that. Foreplay for a long time. I don't know. Anyway, one of the lyrics that really kind of bothered me for a while, especially as getting older, was, what was the lyrics, Billy? Oh, living on rock and roll music, didn't care about a thing we were missing. That's close enough. Close enough, right? Yeah. So the only thing I have to say about that, if you're living on rock and roll music, because I've done security for Guns N' Roses when they first started out, and Aerosmith, and if you're living on rock and roll music, you aren't missing jack squat. That was my Chris Farley doing Tom Foley. Chris Farley doing Tom Foley. One of my favorite SNL sketches, not sketches. We're not even near the snow. People up north are sketching right now. So anyway, if you're living the rock and roll lifestyle, you're not missing anything. I remember being at Guns N' Roses doing security, and they were just starting off, and Axl had his police hat on and looked like a right off the streets, and there were like 30 or more young girls with short skirts, bobby socks, and high heels sitting in the back, and I was sitting there looking, and I'm like, I am in the wrong profession. So anyway, if you're living on rock and roll music, yeah, you're not missing anything. The rest of us are. So anyway, that's my show for tonight. We'll be moving on. My second album, I already know. I know the top 5 albums. The first 5 albums that I bought. I know them, and you're going to be introduced to them. So for right now, on behalf of my producer, Billy, and his girlfriend, Darla, how now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? And I hear you clucking, big chicken, and scene. And of course, if you need me, I will be, where am I going to be, Billy? Where? In a van, down by the river. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Next time, we're going to do some more of my music blogs, and then we'll move on to the second album. Have a good night.